to get headline newspapers, that these are the people, these are the 6, 8, 10, 3, however many it was, people who, sat on the board and decided that, yes, we will spend £250,000 on rehabilitating this young man, giving him how can you commit a serious crime like that and then get money spent on you to give you a new life? It beggars belief. It shouldn't even come into the equation.
Well, it's probably because if you go back 100 years, 200 years, certainly in the Wild West, that individual would have been lynched by now.
Of course he would.
But that's wrong as well. That's the other. That would be the other extreme.
You prefer hung, drawn, and quartered?
No, I certainly don't. That's a horrendous crime.
Fix the crime.
But clearly, somebody should be kept away from society that's got issues such as that. I feel sorry for him in some respects. All right, it's a nasty piece of work and he's done some horrible things. I think it's unfair. It's like putting somebody with a sweet addiction into a sweet shop, isn't it? It's that's inappropriate for us to be doing that. So he should be kept away from temptation and kept behind bars. It's not difficult. He can live out his life behind bars. There's a life behind bars, and and
some prefer it, don't they?
Well, there are many that prefer it. There are many people that would rather be in prison than out in the big wide world. And I think he should just be kept in prison. They've done the experiment. They've tried to rehabilitate him. They tried to let him out, and it's proved not to be successful. He's got an obsession with sex with children, and that obsession, there isn't a cure. It's
well, it didn't start off with sex offences, did it? It started off with just bullying an innocent toddler.
One thing leads to another, but again, I think without fear of contradiction, we all have agreed that yes, this lad, he's mentally wrong and all the rest of it, and should be incarcerated. But what's going to happen in another, say, 4 or 5 years' time when they suddenly this bunch of do-gooders decide, he's been a good boy, he's got up every morning, he's cleaned his cell out, he's done this, he's done that, he's been to church on a Sunday morning and all that. Let's spend another £250,000 on rehabilitation.
I'm sad to say, inevitably this is going to happen, isn't it?
Of course, it's as plain as the writing on the wall.
Indeed.
Isn't it? As night follows day, it's just going to happen again, because it's happened twice, it's going to happen again, probably even again as well. And I can't get my head round it. I just do not understand it at all. And it's so sad. Poor little Jamie Bolger's parents must be going round the bend at the moment, because I'm sorry, I disagree with Alan, because I think that what Kev said was right. In the old days, they should all right, let him out, okay, but don't spend £250,000, but just let him out, open the doors, tell the BBC for the 6 o'clock news, that he's coming out, Wormwood Scrubs or wherever it is, 6
9 o'clock this morning,
9 o'clock this morning, that's right, and away we go, and he'll last maybe 5 minutes, and he'll have us, that's it, and then he'll go to heaven or hell or wherever, but it will be the world will be rid of another nasty little person.
And that's the whole basis of this, isn't it? You do the crime, society gets rid of it. In the natural world, what happens if I don't know, even if there's weak people, or weak creatures, they're just taken out.
Yeah, of course,
get rid of them. Yeah. It is not good. And
I'm sorry, that's such an appalling thing. That's such an appalling thing. What do we do? Just terminate disabled babies at birth?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm trying to use a bit of an analogy there. But the thing is, this is we're putting someone back into society
to do the same thing again.
Yes, we've gone against the principles of society and law, even, because originally he was given life.
Yeah,
and life is
cases, haven't we?
just a few years, and that's the whole idea: is to take people away from society, and that is the humane thing that we do as such, and we are still giving them the chance of life now. And he's probably got a really good life, and now it's being abused. And on the issue of do-gooders, well, I guess there's probably always been do-gooders, and that is never going to change. But we need to look at what they're doing good about. And this is a case where they've got it wrong, in my opinion.
Exactly, and okay. I mean, let's we all make mistakes. I mean, heavens above, we're all human, and we go through life and we make mistakes. You know, but I think that it should be the headlines in all of the national papers at the moment should be naming these people. You know, Judge so and so, and Magistrate so and so, and Vicar so and so, and all the rest of it. These are the people, so that they could go back into society, and we can look at them and say, you know, oh, so you might Barry. You know, you were one of the people that I'm not going to speak to you ever again. You know, and I will then have to suffer, quite rightly so, for, you know, I would have to go out and make myself a new life somewhere else and call myself Bob Bluffield or something, you know.
Well, indeed, that'd be a very nice life.
Well, obviously, I mean, knowing the way you live life, but there you go. Anyway, listen, if you've got any thoughts on that, then we'd love to hear from you. 07790 385 385, or text me if you like to send me a what do you call it? An email, yes. Mike at CRMK.
That's the bloke.
co.uk.
Yeah, on the Facebook page, Grumpy Old Men and Women. I'm going to put out a warning here from the Met Office, actually. Yellow warning device for London and the South East, which of course includes Buckinghamshire, Milton Keynes and Oxfordshire. That went out at 7:55 this morning, and it's in force until 10:30. Yellow warning. So be careful if you're going out and about on the roads. I did have to scrape it off my car, but I didn't see any on the roads this morning, did you?
No, I didn't. But definitely on the car. But I want to ask a question here.
Yeah.
So we're at North Bucks, which is classed as South East. Where does the Midlands start?
This is always my argument, because when you have to fill in forms and stuff, it's difficult to know, isn't it? I always put down East Anglia.
Yeah?
No, Toaster. Toaster is.
You got a toaster? You haven't bought your toaster, have you?
I've had it. Toaster is up the road from us, and that's the start.
That's the borderline.
Bottom of the Midlands. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Like Charing Cross is where you measure all measurements from.
Exactly. Yes. No.
So if we'll take this.
Used to be London.
Not the right way for you, Mike, but we'll take this. Now, Stony Stratford, which is North Buckinghamshire.
Yes.
They play in the South Midlands Football League.
Oh, well, that's...
Yeah, we're class. I get Anglian News, you see. You don't, do you, in Newport? Because you're a little bit further north.
Oh, I get Anglian News.
Oh, do you?
Yes, yeah.
I thought you got London News.
He gets Angrier News as well.
No. I get Anglian News, not London. I can't get London.
Right.
Some places in Milton Keynes can get London.
Can I just go back to the...
Hang on, the keep wants to go back.
While we've been talking about this, I've been looking at the eligibility to be on a parole board.
Oh, yes.
All right, and there are people that are not eligible, people that have received a prison sentence, and in circumstances those that have been terminated from a parole board in the past, current employees of Her Majesty's Prison Service, and people that are not resident in the UK, so they're excluded. But the people that are entitled to apply to be on the parole board of 200 odd people in this country demonstrate experience or eligibility to conduct effective evidence-based decision making, weighing facts and evidence, analysing criteria, evaluating large volumes of complex information, identifying keys within a tight deadline, and working on their own initiative. So in other words, not us. They are looking for smart people. You have excellent communication skills, both written and oral. You'll be able to communicate. Excellent written skills. Demonstrate a high standard of corporate and personal integrity and conduct.
And who decides on that one then?
Well, whoever decides. Well, it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies, isn't it? Yeah. You've got to, it's like invitations are accepted from people that are already in that sort of class.
Do you get paid for it?
I don't know about that. I'll come back to that later, but I won't bore anybody anymore with the 3 pages of criteria.
And I'm going to take complete offence against those.
It's fee paid. It is fee paid.
I'm going to take a total offence to that, because I fall into every single category there. I would make a lovely parole person.
Well, why don't you apply them?
I couldn't be bothered.
Not if you've got to read 3 pages of that.
Well, no.
Members are appointed by the Secretary of State for either 3 or 4 year terms.
Oh, we know what they're like, don't we?
With the possibility of reappointment, at the discretion of the minister. So basically, a minister of state can appoint somebody to the parole board.
Oh, well.
I bet the Minister of State don't. I bet it's one of his clerks.
Yeah. I've got a list this morning.
That's as long as my arm.
So, in other words, it's basically jobs for the boys.
That's right.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on, actually. I had a lovely, sweet little story here in the paper, about Aled Jones.
Yes, he's been accused now.
Aled's as capable of being a sex pest as Mother Teresa. So says his mother-in-law. Bless him, eh? Now then...
Well, she's bound to say that, isn't she?
Well, of course she is, But have you actually... Do you know the story behind this?
No, I don't.
No, well, this is how pathetic this is.
I know it is. I think it is, yeah.
This is something that happened over 10 years ago when apparently he not even allegedly, I think he did send a bit of a jokey text to one of the people that was working on the television programme with him, and that was all. It was the presenter said to have sent messages and contacted the woman during the episode more than a decade ago, but it's not clear what the messages said.
And he's got his name plastered about the press as a sex suspect.
Yeah, as a sex pest.
Well, Mr. Branson has this morning.
Oh, is he? What's he done?
He rested his head in a lady's breasts.
Oh,
many years ago.
It's probably his wife.
No, it was there was a photograph of a large lady of colour, and he rested his head in her breasts.
Oh,
and that's made the front page of the Sun.
Oh dear. Where is it going to
So
end?
Branson is now branded.
Yeah, I'm
He's in a pickle, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah. I'm getting quite worried about this, in actual fact, because we're getting a knock on the door soon, won't we?
Well, we very well could. And I'm shaking in my shoes, actually.
Yeah, I
know I won't get parole.
My wife thinks it's disgraceful how we behaved when I was at work, because we did all sorts of things. I mean, we had young ladies, as I said, when I was in advertising, it was quite commonplace for young ladies to sit on your knee, when they come in the office, but there was nothing sexual about it. It was just friends,
What, you mean having the sort of 19-year-old girl secretary in a short skirt sitting on your grumpy old man's knee?
Yeah.
Nothing sexual in that. Okay, fair enough. I accept what you say at face value.
We're grumpy old men then.
I'm not going to challenge it, but I agree with you. When you're a young,
that's the issue. That's the issue, don't you think?
I was out in the city last night actually, and I watched a couple of young lads, and they were, let's just say, paying a lot of attention to some young ladies.
Yeah.
Now, if I'd have paid that sort of attention, I'd been arrested.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd just be arrested. The police would be called, and I'd be locked up because it was highly inappropriate, particularly some of the bits they were grabbing. But the girls just giggled and laughed and had fun
at the moment.
Yeah. Maybe what will happen is in
10 years' time.
10 years' time, they'll say, well, particularly if one of those lads becomes famous.
Yeah, and we've got footage on our mobile phones to prove it.
Of Bob Smith, whatever his name was, actually, grabbing my bottom. But actually, last night the girls were having a right laugh as well.
Yeah.
And, there was nobody hustling or inappropriately hustling anybody. But it's just a question of, it's not about what you've done, it's who does it to who, seems to be the criteria now. And if you happen to be an ugly old git, and you happen to
be in a tutu and get it all, get all of you guys fumbling around on a Saturday morning. Come on, guys. I'm going to put in a sexual harassment case against you lot.
Well, I would if I was you, Mike. Because I did think about you last night.
It's about time, there's somebody took a photograph of me and put it up on Facebook in my tutu,
But that was your wife.
Oh, was it? Oh, all right.
Well, she was just trying to expose you for the man
and then
you
she
are.
complained about it afterwards.
Well, she did actually. She said it was disgusting. Well, actually, it was. It was disgusting.
To be fair, Mike,
I'm surprised Facebook didn't take it down.
Well, I'm surprised as well. Actually, I'm only vying to get onto page 3. Actually, that's all.
They've taken things down for less.
Pardon?
They've taken things down for less.
Yeah, actually, men are often accused of being shallow about what they look for in a woman, but it seems that women themselves can be just as superficial, with muscles and money topping their list of desirable traits.
I'll say money comes number one.
I think that has always been the case.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back to your previous point, there are a number of old guys who've got a young woman in